Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The market has been insane, and I know a lot of you are wondering, what's happening with crypto? We've seen one of the most painful collapses in recent history. It doesn't feel like a bull market, but at the same time it's hard to say if this is a traditional bear market either. Bitcoin and crypto cycles may be evolving into something entirely different. The question is, how do we make sense of it all? Today, I'm breaking down exactly where we are in this cycle, what's driving the market, and where things could be headed next. I've been analyzing all the key data points, and I'm going to share my perspective on how to navigate these conditions. Understanding why the market is moving in a certain direction is just as important as knowing where it's going. If we can get the framework right, we can make better decisions on how to manage our assets, no matter if prices are going up or down. So let's get into it, because what's happening right now might be the start of a major shift in how crypto works. Over the last few months, the crypto market has been completely unpredictable. One moment we were in full bull mode with massive gains, record-breaking ETF approvals, and what seemed like unstoppable momentum. Then, out of nowhere, the market took a nosedive. The sell-offs were intense and the fear set in fast. At first, it seemed like a temporary correction, something normal in any bull market. But as time passed, it became clear that something bigger was at play. This wasn't just about Bitcoin, it was about the entire financial system. Stocks started crashing, major assets were losing value, and investors were getting nervous. Then, we started seeing the rhetoric coming out of the new Trump administration. Suddenly, words like economic transition and detox period were being thrown around. Trump's officials were openly talking about removing government spending from the markets, something that hasn't happened in decades. If you've been following the markets for a while, you know that government spending has been the backbone of market growth for years. Pulling that away is like taking oxygen away from a fire. Prices start falling, and volatility explodes. That's exactly what we're seeing now. So the big question is, was this just a correction in a bull market? Or was this the beginning of something much deeper? That's what we need to figure out. When Trump took office, his administration made it clear that they weren't going to follow the same playbook as previous governments. The goal was simple: fix the economy, reduce inflation, and cut back on government spending. But here's the problem. Markets depend on government spending. Every major rally we've seen in the last 20 years has been fueled by money printing, stimulus, and bailouts. If you suddenly take that away, markets start to panic. And that's exactly what's happening now. There's a theory that this is all part of Trump's grand strategy. He knows that the U.S. economy is built on debt and cheap money. If interest rates stay high, the country is in trouble. So the plan might be to force a short-term crash, bring interest rates down, and then rebuild the economy on a stronger foundation. It's a risky move, but if it works, it could set the stage for massive long-term growth. The challenge is getting through the short-term pain, and that pain is being felt everywhere, from stocks to real estate to crypto. If this strategy succeeds, we could see a market boom unlike anything we've ever experienced. But if it fails, things could get even worse before they get better. Crypto has always moved in 4-year cycles: bull market, bear market, accumulation, and then another rally. But something about this cycle feels different. The usual patterns don't seem to apply anymore. If we compare today's market to past cycles, it looks a lot like 2019. Back then, Bitcoin had a huge rally after a brutal bear market. But it wasn't a true bull market, it was just a mean reversion. Prices recovered, but they didn't go to new all-time highs until much later. We might be seeing something similar now. The ETF approval, the first crypto president, and the massive hype created a temporary boom, but the real bull market might not be here yet. We could just be in an extended transition phase. One of the biggest indicators to watch is Bitcoin dominance. Historically, when Bitcoin dominance is high, it means altcoins are struggling, and the market isn't in full bull mode yet. Right now, Bitcoin is leading the market, but altcoins aren't seeing the explosive gains they usually get in a bull run. So what does that mean? It means we need to be cautious. If this really is just a mean reversion, we could see more downside before the real bull market begins. So how do we know when the real bull market starts? There are a few key indicators to keep an eye on. 1. Interest rates. If interest rates start coming down, that's a huge bullish signal. Lower rates make borrowing cheaper, which leads to more investment and higher asset prices. 1. Inflation data. Inflation is the number one thing keeping the Fed from easing financial conditions. If inflation drops significantly, the Fed will have more room to support the economy. 1. Global liquidity. Bitcoin follows global liquidity trends. When money is flowing into the system, crypto benefits. If liquidity dries up, we stay in a risk-off environment. 1. Market sentiment. When fear is at its peak, that's often the best time to buy. But if euphoria returns too quickly, we might not be at a sustainable bottom yet. 1. Bitcoin and altcoin performance. If Bitcoin starts running while altcoins lag behind, we're likely still in a transition phase. But when altcoins start making massive moves, that's usually a sign that the bull market is in full force. Given all this uncertainty, the smartest move right now is to stay patient and not rush into trades. The market is in a transition phase, and trying to time the exact bottom can be risky. Instead, focus on building a strong, long-term strategy. One of the most important things you can do is keep some cash on hand. If prices continue to drop, you want to have the ability to buy in at lower levels. The worst thing you can do is go all in too early, and then have no liquidity when the real opportunities come. At the same time, look for strong projects that have long-term potential. Not all altcoins will survive this phase, but the ones that do could see massive gains in the next bull market. Focus on coins with real use cases, strong communities, and solid development teams. Also, keep an eye on macro trends. If we start seeing interest rates come down, government policies shift, and liquidity start flowing back into the markets, that's when things could get really exciting. But until then, expect more volatility and stick to your plan. Finally, avoid emotional trading. Fear and greed control the market, but they shouldn't control you. Stick to your investment thesis, dollar cost average when appropriate, and be prepared for both the ups and downs. The real winners in crypto are the ones who can survive the tough times and take advantage of the opportunities that come next. Despite all the short-term uncertainty, I believe that crypto is still on track for massive long-term growth. The cycles may be changing, but the fundamental value of blockchain technology and decentralized finance remains strong. If this truly is an extended cycle, we could be looking at a multi-year bull run rather than the traditional 4-year cycle we've seen in the past. That means we might not get the usual parabolic pump and crash, but instead, a longer, more sustained uptrend. Think about how the tech industry evolved after the dot-com crash. The companies that survived became giants. Amazon, Google, Apple, all of them went through massive corrections before experiencing decades of growth. Crypto could be going through a similar phase right now. That's why it's important to focus on quality over hype. The projects that survive this period will be the ones leading the market in the next cycle. Whether that takes 6 months or 3 years, the key is staying in the game and making smart decisions. So while things might look rough right now, remember that opportunity comes from uncertainty. Those who can hold their conviction, invest wisely, and adapt to the changing landscape will be the ones who benefit the most when the real bull market begins. So, after everything we've gone over, is this a bull market? Well, not exactly. But it's also not a typical bear market either. We might be in a completely new type of cycle, one that doesn't follow the old 4-year patterns. What I do know is that patience will pay off. The people who win in crypto aren't the ones chasing quick gains. They're the ones who position themselves for long-term success. This could be the make-or-break cycle that defines the next decade of crypto. If you found this breakdown helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more updates. Also, drop a comment below and let me know, what's your strategy right now? That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.